city of the shash. Hello, my name's Gavin. This is Genre Books, and it's a continuation, exploration, excavation of my bookcases. This is where things get a little bit messy, because this shelf here, shelf number 12, is typically, as I turn around, where I'm putting the books that I'm currently reading, books I have just read, and the books that I didn't get to in recent Booktube events. So it's going to be a real mishmash of different styles, types of books. So let's see what we've got. Beginning with one that I did read recently, one that I only got recently in order to read it as part of MJ at Reading List Life's banned books theme that she has had going through 2024. I'm not participating in the 24 in 24, but I was sufficiently incensed by the buffoons at the Utah State Legislature that have decided to ban books across the entire territory. I can't see why this was banned. It's absolute nonsense. I'll probably have more comments on that at another time. Suffice to say that those people in Utah should find a better way of doing their laundry that do not leave their knickers in such a twist. Next up, a book I would have talked about during Shake-Tember, and this is No Bed for Bacon. This is a comedy. It does hit the spot, which I'm glad to say, and well worth your read. In Shake-Tember or outside of Shake-Tember. Another comedy, and one which I am halfway through at the moment. This is my current pick from the Tote Bag of Mild Peril. If you don't know, the Tote Bag of Mild Peril is a tote bag filled with slips upon which are written the names of all the books on these shelves. It is a little tool, a little push to get me to read books I otherwise would not necessarily reach for. But they're all books I want to read, otherwise I would never have bought them. So it works, because I probably wouldn't have picked this up to read this month, but being made to by random chance has been fantastic. This is glorious so far. Ridiculous. He's a monster, the main character, but so well drawn. Another book I am halfway through, and this is for the Framed in September reading event currently on as I record this, and this is Matthew Gale's Dada and Surrealism. I'm about just over 200 pages into this, and we have just finished with Dada. We are now looking at the beginnings of Surrealism. Dada and Surrealism, my favourite art movements, if not always my favourite resultant pieces of art, and I definitely don't understand half of what's going on, it being in German, French, Romanian and other languages. But I really appreciate what they were trying to do. I love what they achieved, and their lasting impact on art has been undeniable. From previous and current Booktube events to ones that are upcoming, and by the time this comes out may still be upcoming. Gareth at Book Songs and Other Magic is resurrecting the event Winter of Wyndham this year, where we will read books by John Wyndham. Annoyingly, last year when it happened, I'd already been reading John Wyndham most of the way through the year, and there wasn't a lot left for me to read when the event was announced. Although I did read The Outward Urge and a collection of short stories, which I can't remember the name of. But I have got some other books, saving them for this year, and I've got some gems for this winter. First off, in Penguin Books is The Seeds of Time. This is a collection of short stories. Next up is a book that was written well, he has a bit of a history with pseudonyms. John Wyndham. John Wyndham is itself sort of a pseudonym. His name was John Benyon Harris, and I think the longer name has a Wyndham in there. But this was not released as a John Wyndham book. This was a John Benyon book. This is The Secret People, and this is something I definitely do want to get to, because tangentially it fits in with something I'm looking at about lost races and lost worlds. And this is about a ancient race living in some cavernous expanse under the earth. And another collection of short stories, the fantastically titled Jizzle. And here we have Colin Wilson, Spider-World The Tower, the first in the Spider-World series of life on Earth under the Iron Heel, or the 8-legged iron heel of genocide or spider domination. The first paperback edition of Gene Wolfe's The Shadow of the Torturer, the first book of the New Sun. Unfortunately, it has been covered in sticky back plastic, so I'll never get this book back to original condition, but I'll enjoy reading it. Not a special or early edition at all, but a rather nice looking one. Jack Vance, The Dying Earth, Mayflower, sort of fantasy science fiction. In fact, there's a bit of Jack Vance coming, so buckle up. Ecce and Old Earth. This is Tor science fiction from 1991. The Languages of Pow. City of the Shash. And all 3 volumes of the Dodane trilogy. Anime. The Brave Free Men. And the Asutra. A collection of science fiction stories from John Varley. This is Blue Champagne. Another John Varley book, this time a novel rather than a collection of short stories. This is Titan. McFadden books from 1969. Originally 1967, but this is the second impression. The Changeling from A.E. Van Vogt. And another Van Vogt, this a little bit of a later production, this one, The Universe Maker from Sphere Science Fiction. Next, actually not a book at all, it's a map of the extent of the Hanseatic League Empire. A mystery book now, The Fingerprint by Patricia Wentworth. Star of Ill Omen from Dennis Wheatley, so putting aside his normal occult, ghostly proclivities to indulge in some science fiction for us. James White, Tomorrow is Too Far. Ted White, The Jewels of Elsewhere. Straw Dogs by Gordon M. Williams. The first 2 books in a trilogy by William Carlos Williams. I think I read the first one when I was much younger. That is The White Mule. And its sequel, In the Money. I do not have the last in the trilogy. I don't even know what it's called. I'm going to have to find out and maybe have a little hunt for it. From Jack Williamson in his Legion of Space series, this is The Cometeers. Robert Moore Williams, Xanthar at Moon's Madness. I know nothing about this, but I'm not passing up a title like that. Some more Jack Williamson. This is in his CT series, so CT Ship and CT Shock. Charles Willeford, The Machine in Ward 11. On the cover it says it's the weirdest tale that's been published in America since Edgar Allan Poe, so that is a bold claim. H.G. Wells, Men Like Gods. And oddly enough, I am recording this on H.G. Wells' birthday. And continuing with the H.G. Wells, The New Machiavelli. And in the Corgi SF Collector's Library, H.G. Wells, The Shape of Things to Come. Isle of the Dead by Roger Zelazny. In fact, a few Zelazny books. We have Dilvish the Damned, Mad Wand, Sign of Chaos, and Lord of Light. Next is a book edited by Roger Zelazny, and that is Warriors of Blood and Dream. 15 remarkable tales of martial artists in perilous realms of the future and the fantastic. So this is from Avon Books and from the mid-90s. So this collection has stories by Joe Lansdale, Gerald Houseman, George Richards, Jack C. Haldeman II, Walter John Williams, Jane Linscole, David Smeds, Richard A. Lupoff, Michael A. Stackpole, Karen Haber, Victor Milan, Jeffrey A. Carver, Larry Segriff, Stephen Barnes, and Kazuaki Tanahashi. So some new names to me in this anthology. Some more familiar names, however, in this one. Echoes of Valor, edited by Carl Edward Wagner, and this is Sword and Sorcery. So it has a Robert E. Howard story, Fritz Leiber, and Harry Kuttner. So fantasy from the 40s and the 50s. And a book I did not get around to for June on the Range due to just running out of time, and that is Jubal Sackett by Louis L'Amour. This is the next book I have to read in the Sackett series, so it will be hopefully part of the 2025 roster. The Children of Men by P.D. James. So this is a dystopian future where the population is teetering on a precipice because there are no more children. And we were living in Woolwich when the film version of this book was being made, and it has to be said, when they converted one street to a post-apocalyptic wasteland, it was only the presence of the film cameras that alerted us to anything being amiss. Fade Out by Patrick Tilley. So this is Alien Visits Earth. I don't know much more about it than that. Lord Peter Wimsey detective novel with Busman's Honeymoon from Dorothy L. Sayers. Edward Upward, The Railway Accident and Other Stories. A World War II tale of Greek resistance to the Nazis, and this is The Angry Hills from Leon Uris. From New English Library, science fiction, William F. Temple, The Fleshpots of Sansato. As you can see, 9p from Woolworths, so that's a bargain. A novel and a collection of stories from Chelsea Quinn Yarbrough. The novel, Time of the Fourth Horseman, and the collection, Cautionary Tales. A tatty copy of an Edgar Wallace thriller, The Door with Seven Locks. Del Rey science fantasy, and Lawrence Watt Evans, The Cyborg and the Sorcerers. I have no idea what's going on this cover, but I'm here for it. Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman, the first volume of The Rose of the Prophet. This is The Will of the Wanderer. And by the same authors, volume 3 of a completely different series, this time the Dark Sword trilogy and Triumph of the Dark Sword. Military science fiction from David Weber, Ashes of Victory. A very 90s cover. I'm saying a very 90s cover. Let's check. Wow, sort of. The year 2000. And from military sci-fi to westerns. J.T. Edson, Good Night's Dream. I love these old Hodder and Stoughton, Hodder and Stoughton yellowback westerns as well. This is To the Last Man by Zane Grey. And Clarence E. Mulford's Hopalong Cassidy Takes Cards. You can tell by this I had a very ambitious Dune on the Range and was not able to read nearly as much as I wanted to. Next was Homer Hatton's Eagle on His Wrist and Leo Leighton's Big Ugly. Science fiction western, John Jakes' Six Gun Planet. Continuing with the John Jakes, the first 3 books in his Brak the Barbarian series, Brak the Barbarian, The Sorceress, and The Mark of the Demons. 2 books which I have told myself I'm reading this month. I have 9 days left and I'm still well into 3 different other books. But hopefully we'll get the chance to read Harvard Lampoon's Board of the Rings and National Lampoon's Dune. Something I didn't get to in Garb August, Sean Hudson's Deadhead. Something which I wanted to read for Framed in September, but I'm running out of time, and that is Kraftwerk, Future Music from Germany. And another event that I'm not doing my due diligence on is Cimmerian September. Here is some Conan pastiches from, ostensibly, Robert E. Howard, but Elsbrag de Camp and Lynn Carter. A book I only got 50 pages into during Garb August, but I'll see if I finish it this year. I'm slating November and December as time to clear my not finished yet pile. This is Jalav, Amazon Warrior, The Crystals of Mida by Sharon Green. In fact, I think the remainder of this pile and the remainder of today's books are all things I didn't get round to in Garb August. Although I read an awful lot in Garb August, my eyes were obviously bigger than my belly. So here is a novelisation of The Man from U.N.C.L.E, or some of the stories from The Man from U.N.C.L.E. And here is a novelisation of some of the stories from Porridge. This is another stretch of Porridge by Dick Clement and Ian Lafreniere, the guys who wrote the sitcom. Another Lawrence Watt Evans book. This is Shining Steel, about some vengeful priest. A late 70s, early 80s novel of the energy crisis. This is Overload by Arthur Haley, he of the Airport books. Bodhi Taney, The Gates of Zion. This is the first in the Zion Chronicles. The fantastically titled Bumcider by C.C. McCapp. And Agents of Chaos by Norman Spinrad in the New English Library. Now, I will get to this perhaps in November. There is something about this book. If you know, you know. If you don't, it might be a bit of a surprise. But that is that. Like I say, a bit of a mishmash this week. That shelf really is my sort of clearing house for stuff that I've just got in, that I've failed to read recently, or stuff I'm currently reading. So next week, I can't promise you any less of a mix of stuff, because I don't know what's in the shelf. This is one of the reasons for this whole palaver. But until next time.